I stood in my pristine laboratory at Glendale Research Institute, staring at the resume that made my stomach drop. Luna Washington, my new research assistant, had lied about everything. Her supposed PhD from Stanford? Fake. Her published papers? Non-existent. Her references? All fabricated numbers. Dr. Harris? Luna's voice carried a slight tremor as she entered, her brunette hair catching the fluorescent lights. Those warm brown eyes met mine with surprising defiance rather than shame. Your credentials are bullshit. I know. Then why the hell are you here? Luna stepped closer, her chin lifted. Because I'm damn good at chemistry, even without the fancy papers. I should have fired her on the spot. Instead, something in her voice made me pause. Prove it. The afternoon brought our first real test. 3 months of protein synthesis research hung in the balance, as contamination threatened everything. While I panicked over the ruined samples, Luna moved with quiet precision. The degradation pattern suggests enzymatic breakdown, she said, examining the failed batches. If we adjust the pH and add EDTA as a chelating agent. That's completely unconventional. Sometimes unconventional works. She was right. Her solution not only saved the project, but improved our yield by 30%. I watched her work, noting how her fingers moved with instinctive knowledge, how she anticipated each step. This woman had raw talent I hadn't seen in years. By 10 p.m., we were the only ones left in the building. Luna sat across from me at the lab bench, both of us exhausted but exhilarated by the breakthrough. Why did you lie? I asked. Would you have hired a community college dropout? Probably not. Then you have your answer. The honesty hit me harder than her deception had. In the dim laboratory light, I noticed details I'd missed before. The way she bit her lower lip when concentrating. The small scar above her left eyebrow. How her eyes sparkled when she talked about chemical reactions. I should still fire you. But you won't. Why are you so sure? Luna leaned forward, close enough that I caught her sentiment, and something uniquely her. Because you see what I see. Which is? That we work. The space between us felt charged, like the moment before a reaction reaches critical mass. When she reached across to touch my hand, I didn't pull away. Her fingers were warm, calloused from years of lab work despite her lack of formal education. This is complicated, I whispered. The best chemistry usually is. When she leaned in and kissed me, soft and tentative, it felt like the most natural reaction in the world. Her lips tasted like coffee and possibility. For a moment, all the rules and protocols that governed my life dissolved into something much more fundamental. We broke apart slowly, both breathing harder. This changes everything, I said. Luna smiled, that brilliant expression that had first caught my attention. Maybe it's time for a change. As I locked up the lab that night, I realized she was absolutely right. Some of the most important discoveries happened when you threw out the textbook and trusted your instincts. Luna Washington might not have the credentials, but she had something more valuable. The ability to make me question everything I thought I knew about chemistry, about research, about myself. 3 weeks after that first kiss, Luna suggested we volunteer at the elementary school in rural Glendale. These kids need science role models, she said, and I couldn't argue. Walking into Roosevelt Elementary felt like stepping into another world. The paint peeled from classroom walls, and outdated textbooks sat stacked in corners. But the children's faces lit up when we introduced ourselves as real scientists. Have you seen explosions? Asked Tommy, a gap-toothed 8-year-old. Better, Luna grinned, pulling out materials for safe chemical reactions. We'll make them together. I watched her work magic with those kids. Her voice became gentler, more patient than in the lab. She knelt to their level, answered every question no matter how silly. When Maria asked if girls could really be scientists, Luna's response made my chest tight. The smartest scientist I know is standing right there, she said, pointing at me. During lunch break, we sat on the weathered playground equipment. Luna stared at the mountains beyond the school, her expression distant. I used to be one of these kids, she said quietly. Here? Different school, same poverty. My mom cleaned offices at night, slept during the day. I basically raised myself. I wanted to reach for her hand but held back, aware of the children playing nearby. Is that why you never went to college? Couldn't afford it. Worked 3 jobs just to keep food on the table. Luna kicked at the dirt with her shoe. Chemistry fascinated me, but dreams don't pay rent. What changed? She looked at me then, something vulnerable in those brown eyes. You did. You gave me a chance when no one else would. The admission hung between us like a delicate molecule, beautiful and fragile. I understood now why she'd risked everything with those fake credentials. Desperation drives people to extraordinary measures. That evening, we stayed late to prepare for the next week's lesson. The school's generator had failed again, leaving us with only flashlights and battery-powered equipment. Luna moved around the darkened classroom like she belonged there, organizing materials by touch. You're natural with children, I observed. Kids don't judge you for lacking degrees. Adults shouldn't either. She paused in her organizing flashlight beam, creating shadows on the wall. But they do. You did initially. Guilt twisted in my stomach. She was right. If not for that desperate moment when I needed her expertise, I would have dismissed her immediately. I was wrong. Were you? Luna stepped closer in the darkness. Or were you following logical protocols? Logic doesn't account for everything. Like what? Like how you make those kids believe in themselves. Like how you saved my research. Like how you make me feel... The words died as Luna closed the distance between us. In the flashlight's dim glow, her face looked ethereal, all soft angles and warm eyes. How do I make you feel? Alive? I whispered. Like I've been following formulas my whole life without understanding the underlying reactions. When she kissed me this time, it was different, deeper, more certain. Her free hand found my waist, pulling me closer until our bodies pressed together in the darkness. I could taste coffee on her lips, feel her heart beating against my chest. We broke apart, breathing hard, foreheads touching. Penelope. I know. This is complicated. No, Luna said, her voice stronger now. This is the simplest thing in the world. Maybe she was right. Maybe I'd been overcomplicating everything, hiding behind degrees and protocols when the real chemistry was standing right in front of me. As we packed up to leave, Luna's earlier words echoed in my mind. She'd raised herself, fought for everything, built knowledge from nothing but determination. I'd been born into privilege, handed opportunities she'd never dreamed of. Yet here we were, teaching kids who reminded us both that knowledge meant nothing without the courage to share it. 2 weeks into our volunteering routine, I suggested we grab coffee before heading to the school. Luna seemed nervous, constantly checking over her shoulder as we walked into Café Martinez on Glendale's main strip. You okay? I asked, noticing her fidgeting with her sleeves. Just tired, she said, but her eyes kept scanning the room. We'd barely sat down when 3 men in expensive suits approached our table. The lead guy, tattoos creeping up his neck, smiled in a way that made my skin crawl. Luna Vega, he said, voice dripping false friendliness. Been looking for you. Luna went rigid beside me. I think you have the wrong person. Do I? The man pulled out a chair, uninvited. You disappeared right when things got interesting. The chemist wants his formula. My blood turned cold. Luna's hand found mine under the table, her grip desperate. I told you wrong person, Luna said, but her voice shook. The second man leaned closer. Cut the shit, Vega. We know you have the synthesis process. I watched Luna's face transform. Gone was the gentle teacher I'd fallen for, replaced by someone calculating, dangerous. Her posture shifted, muscles tensing like a coiled spring. Even if I were this Vega person, Luna said carefully, what makes you think I'd help you cook drugs? The lead man's smile vanished. Because otherwise, pretty blonde scientist here might have an accident. Ice shot through my veins. These weren't just thugs. Luna was some kind of criminal. The woman I'd been kissing, falling for, had been lying about everything. Leave her out of this, Luna snapped, standing abruptly. Then you'll cooperate? I need time to think. 24 hours. Same place where Rodriguez got arrested. They left as quickly as they'd appeared. Luna collapsed back into her chair, hands shaking as she reached for her coffee. What the hell was that? My voice came out harsher than intended. I can explain. You're a drug dealer? No. Luna's eyes met mine, desperate and honest. But someone thinks I am. We left the cafe quickly, Luna constantly checking mirrors and side streets. Once in my car, she finally spoke. My real name is Luna Washington. I used a fake identity when I applied for the job because I was hiding. From who? It's complicated. Try me. Luna stared out the window, jaw tight. 3 years ago, I worked undercover, not for drugs, but something else. The operation went bad, people got hurt, and I had to disappear. Undercover for who? I can't tell you everything, but those men think I'm Luna Vega, a chemist who synthesizes designer drugs. The real Vega vanished months ago. My head spun. So, you're not a criminal? No, but I know how their world works. Luna turned to face me, eyes pleading. I never meant for you to get involved. I thought I was safe here. And now? Now they think you're my partner. They'll use you to get to me. The implications hit like a chemical explosion. My quiet academic life was over. Because I trusted Luna, fallen for her, I was now a target. What do we do? Luna's expression hardened, revealing glimpses of whoever she'd been before. We disappear. Tonight. I can't just abandon my research, my life. Your life won't matter if you're dead. The blunt words silenced me. Luna reached across the console, her hand warm against my cheek. I'm sorry, she whispered. I never wanted this to touch you. But it has. Yeah, it has. Looking into her eyes, I saw truth for the first time since those men appeared. Luna wasn't just my research assistant or the woman I was falling for. She was someone who'd lived in shadows, made compromises I couldn't imagine. And now, because of her past and my feelings, we were both in danger. The children at the school, I started. We'll have to miss tomorrow's lesson. The disappointment in her voice told me everything. Luna cared about those kids, about the life we'd been building. Whatever she'd done before, whoever she'd been, the woman sitting beside me was real. Okay, I said. Where do we go? Relief flooded her features. I know a place, somewhere we can figure this out. As I started the car, Luna's hand squeezed mine. Thank you for trusting me. I wasn't sure trust was the right word. But something deeper than logic told me that running with Luna was better than staying without her. Even if it meant abandoning everything I'd worked for. Luna drove us to a motel on the outskirts of town, the kind of place that didn't ask questions. We registered under fake names she produced from seemingly nowhere. The room smelled like disinfectant and regret, but it was safe for now. How many identities do you have? I asked, watching her pull documents from hidden compartments in her bag. Enough. Luna sat heavily on the bed. We can't stay here long, they'll find us eventually. As if summoned by her words, Luna's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered on speaker. Luna Vega, I presume? The voice was smooth, educated, dangerous. You have the wrong woman. I don't think so. And unless you want your girlfriend to see what happens to people who interfere with my business, you'll listen carefully. My stomach dropped. Luna's face had gone completely white. I'm listening. Good. I need the synthesis formula for compound X-47. The one Rodriguez was developing before his unfortunate arrest. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course you do. You were his partner before you vanished. 48 hours to deliver or Dr. Harris becomes a cautionary tale. The line went dead. Luna threw the phone against the wall where it shattered into pieces. Who was that? I demanded. Carlos Mendoza. He runs the operation Luna Vega was involved in. Luna paced the small room like a caged animal. He's not the kind of man who accepts no for an answer. Then we go to the police. With what evidence? And what happens to you while they figure out I'm not really Luna Vega? She was right. We were trapped between law enforcement who might not believe us and criminals who definitely wanted to hurt us. What's compound X-47? I asked. Luna stopped pacing. Rodriguez was developing synthetic compounds that enhanced cognitive function. Think performance enhancers for the brain, but with massive addiction potential. My chemistry mind immediately grasped the implications. Designer nootropics. The street value would be enormous. And incredibly dangerous. Rodriguez was brilliant but reckless. His formulas were killing test subjects. Then why do they think you have it? Luna sat beside me, her proximity both comforting and electric despite the circumstances. Because Luna Vega was supposed to be Rodriguez's backup chemist. When he got arrested, she disappeared with all his research. But you're not her. No, but I know where she might have hidden it. The room fell silent except for the distant hum of highway traffic. Luna's confession hung between us, another layer of deception that somehow felt like honesty. You worked undercover in their organization, I said, pieces clicking together. DEA, 3 years deep cover before everything went sideways. Luna's voice carried old pain. Rodriguez trusted me because I convinced him I was as dirty as he was. When the operation collapsed, I barely got out alive. And now they think you're Luna Vega because I used her identity for too long. The lines blurred. I studied her profile in the dim motel lighting. This woman had lived multiple lives, sacrificed years to bring down dangerous people, and now she was protecting me at the cost of her own safety. What happened to the real Luna Vega? Dead. Overdosed on Rodriguez's compound 6 months ago. But only a few people knew that. The weight of her revelation settled over me. We were running from ghosts, hiding from shadows of a woman who no longer existed. Show me, I said suddenly. Show you what? Where Luna Vega might have hidden the research. If we're going to survive this, I need to understand what we're dealing with. Luna looked surprised. You want to help? I want us to live through this. And maybe my chemistry background can find something your undercover skills missed. For the first time since the cafe incident, Luna smiled genuinely. Rodriguez had a storage unit across town. If Luna Vega hid anything, it would be there. Then that's where we start. As we prepared to leave, Luna caught my hand. Penelope, once we do this, there's no going back. You'll be involved in ways that could destroy your career, your life. My life is already destroyed if we don't. I mean really involved. These aren't academic chemicals we're talking about. Her eyes held a warning I didn't fully understand, but I nodded anyway. Whatever it takes. Luna leaned forward and kissed me, soft but urgent. When we broke apart, I saw something new in her expression, determination mixed with something deeper. Okay, she said. Let's go find out what Luna Vega was really hiding. The storage unit was in a rundown facility on the industrial side of Glendale. Luna picked the lock with practiced ease while I kept watch. Inside, boxes of chemical equipment sat covered in dust alongside personal belongings that told the story of a life cut short. Luna Vega was paranoid, Luna said, sorting through files. If she hid research, it won't be obvious. I examined the chemical equipment, recognizing high-end synthesis apparatus worth thousands. This gear could produce pharmaceutical-grade compounds, or kill people trying. We worked in silence, Luna checking hiding spots while I inventoried the chemistry setup. After an hour, I found something unusual, a modified reaction vessel with custom heating elements. Luna, look at this. She joined me, our shoulders touching as we examined the device. What am I looking at? This isn't standard equipment. Someone modified it for a specific synthesis process. I pointed to the unusual configuration. See these temperature controls? They're designed for extremely precise heat regulation. Meaning? The compound they were making required exact conditions. Too hot or cold, and it becomes toxic instead of effective. Luna's phone buzzed a new burner she'd bought. The same smooth voice from before. Time's running out, Miss Vega. Have you found what I need? We're working on it, Luna replied. Work faster. And remember, Dr. Harris's safety depends on your cooperation. After he hung up, Luna kicked a box in frustration. We're running out of time. Then let's think like chemists, I said. Where would someone hide a formula that only another chemist could find? Luna stared at the equipment. In the chemistry itself? I nodded, examining the modified vessel more carefully. Hidden beneath the heating element, I found a small data chip. Got it. We plugged the chip into Luna's laptop. Files filled the screen: synthetic pathways, molecular diagrams, test results. Rodriguez's research was brilliant and terrifying. This is insane, I breathed, reading the data. He was trying to create cognitive enhancers that bond to neural receptors. But the addiction pathway? Goes straight through the pleasure center, Luna finished. One dose, and users need increasingly higher amounts just to function normally. It's not just addictive, it's chemical slavery. The implications hit us both. This wasn't recreational drug chemistry. This was a formula for controlling human minds. No wonder Mendoza wanted it so badly. We can't give this to them, I said. And we can't keep running forever. Luna's hand found mine, fingers intertwining. In the dim storage unit surrounded by the remnants of Luna Vega's dangerous work, I felt the weight of our situation settling over us. What if we could modify it, I suggested. Create a decoy that looks right but won't work? You can do that? Maybe. But I'd need access to proper equipment. Luna was quiet for a long moment. There's a problem. What? My former partner, Agent Marcus Kane. He's been tracking me since I disappeared. If we surface anywhere near legitimate facilities, he'll arrest me. For what? Officially, abandoning my post. Unofficially? He thinks I really did go bad. The betrayal in her voice cut deep. Someone you trusted? Luna paused, vulnerability flashing across her face. We were partners for 2 years, close partners. Jealousy twisted in my chest, unexpected and fierce. How close? Close enough that when I vanished, he took it personally. The storage unit suddenly felt too small, too intimate. Luna moved closer, her hand cupping my cheek. Penelope, what happened between Marcus and me was over long before I met you. But he's still hunting you. Because he thinks I betrayed everything we worked for. I leaned into her touch, needing the connection despite everything. Did you? I disappeared to protect the operation. And myself. But Marcus doesn't know that. Luna's lips found mine, desperate and hungry. We kissed surrounded by the evidence of Luna Vega's tragic end, both of us knowing our time was running out. Her hands tangled in my hair, pulling me closer as if proximity could solve our impossible situation. When we broke apart, breathing hard, Luna rested her forehead against mine. I need you to know something, she whispered. What? Whatever happens next, these weeks with you have been the most real thing in my life in years. Her words broke something open in my chest. Luna? I mean it. Teaching those kids, working in your lab, falling for you, it's who I really am under all the lies. I kissed her again, slower this time, tasting truth and desperation on her lips. In that moment, surrounded by danger and deception, nothing felt more certain than this connection between us. Then let's fight for it, I said against her mouth. How? We give Mendoza his formula, but we make sure it's the last mistake he ever makes. We returned to Glendale at dawn with a desperate plan. Using my lab access would be risky, but I needed proper equipment to create a convincing decoy formula. Luna waited in the parking lot while I slipped into the building. The familiar hum of centrifuges and chemical hoods felt like coming home, except everything had changed. 3 days ago, my biggest worry was research funding. Now I was manufacturing fake drugs to save our lives. Got everything? Luna asked when I returned with supplies. Enough to make something that looks right but won't work. We drove to an abandoned warehouse Luna knew about, setting up a makeshift lab in a back room. As I worked on the decoy synthesis, Luna contacted someone from her federal days. Sarah, it's Luna. I need a favor. The conversation was tense, full of coded language I didn't understand. When Luna hung up, her face was grim. My handler agrees to help, but there's a catch. What kind of catch? Agent Kane will be running the operation. He wants to arrest me the moment this is over. Even if we help catch Mendoza? Especially then. He thinks I've been working with them all along. I stopped mixing chemicals, studying Luna's expression. And have you been? No. Her answer came without hesitation. But I've made choices that look suspicious from the outside. Like what? Luna sat on a crate, suddenly looking exhausted. Like disappearing with classified information. Like using a dead woman's identity. Like falling for a brilliant scientist who could help synthesize anything. The accusation hung between us. You think Kane believes I'm helping you cook drugs? I think Kane believes I seduced you into becoming my partner. The words stung because they contained just enough truth to be dangerous. Luna had lied about her credentials, her name, her entire past. How could I be certain she wasn't lying about her feelings too? Are you? I asked quietly. Am I what? Using me? Luna stood abruptly, crossing to where I worked. She cupped my face in her hands, forcing me to meet her eyes. 3 days ago, the most important thing in my life was staying hidden. Now it's keeping you alive. That's not an answer. Then, here's your answer. Luna kissed me with an intensity that left no room for doubt. her hands tangled in my hair, pulling me against her as if contact alone could prove her sincerity. I tasted desperation on her lips, along with something deeper. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, Luna's voice was raw with emotion. I love you, Penelope. Not because you're useful, not because you can help me, but because you saw past my lies to who I really am. The confession hit deeper than any chemical reaction. Luna, you gave me a chance when no one else would. You made me remember what it felt like to be honest about who I am. Before I could respond, Luna's phone buzzed. Another call from Mendoza. Time's up, Miss Vega. Do you have what I need? Yes, Luna said, her voice steady. But I want guarantees about Dr. Harris's safety. Bring the formula to the old textile factory on Industrial Drive. Midnight. Come alone. And, if I don't? Then your girlfriend learns what happens to people who interfere with my business. The line went dead. We stared at each other, knowing this was it. You're not going alone, I said. Penelope, this isn't your world. It became my world the moment those men threatened me. Luna was quiet for a long moment. The decoy formula won't hold up under serious analysis. It doesn't need to. Just long enough for whatever backup plan you've arranged. There might not be a backup plan. Kane might decide I'm too compromised to save. I reached for her hands, noting the calluses I'd grown to love. Then we save ourselves. How? The same way we saved my research project. We improvise. Luna smiled despite our circumstances. You realize this could go very badly? Most reactions could go badly. That's why we run them anyway. To see what happens? To see what's possible. As evening approached, we made final preparations. Luna checked weapons I didn't know she carried, while I verified the decoy formula would pass a quick field test. The chemistry was elegant in its deception, reactive enough to seem legitimate, but missing key components that would make it actually work. Ready? Luna asked as we loaded everything into the car. No. But let's do it anyway. Luna started the engine, then paused. Penelope, if this goes wrong? It won't. But if it does, I need you to know that meeting you changed everything. You made me want to be the person you saw in me. You already were that person. No, Luna said softly. I became her because you believed she existed. The textile factory loomed like a dead giant against the night sky. Luna parked 3 blocks away, both of us knowing this might be our last conversation. Federal backup? I asked. Should be in position. But Kane might wait to see what I really am before moving. Meaning? If I hand over real drugs, I'm a criminal. If I'm setting up Mendoza, I'm still a rogue agent who needs arresting. We approached the factory through side streets, Luna moving with the fluid grace of someone trained for this. I followed, heart hammering against my ribs. There, Luna whispered, pointing to movement in the shadows. Kane's team. How can you tell? Body language. Federal agents stand differently than street muscle. Inside the factory, Mendoza waited with 4 men. The decoy formula sat in my backpack, our only bargaining chip against people who solved problems with violence. Miss Vega, Mendoza smiled coldly, and Dr. Harris, how nice you could both attend. You said I could come alone. I lied. Brings us to an interesting point about honesty. Something in his tone made my skin crawl. Luna tensed beside me, hand moving toward her concealed weapon. The formula, Mendoza continued, has a problem. What problem? Luna kept her voice steady. The real Luna Vega is dead, has been for months. So who exactly are you? The question hung like a chemical cloud, toxic and spreading. Luna's cover was blown, which meant our plan had just collapsed. I'm someone who has what you want, Luna said. Are you? Mendoza gestured, and his men moved to surround us. Agent Luna Washington, 3 years deep cover DEA. Disappeared after the Rodriguez operation failed. My blood turned to ice. Not only did Mendoza know Luna's real identity, he'd known all along. We'd walked into a trap. The question, Mendoza continued, is whether Agent Washington went rogue or remained loyal. Does it matter? Luna asked. Of course. Rogue agents can be bought. Loyal ones need killing. The warehouse suddenly exploded with activity as federal agents burst through multiple entrances. Gunfire erupted, but instead of coordinated law enforcement, chaos ruled. Kane's team was shooting at Luna, too. "They think you're dirty," I shouted over the noise. "I know." Luna grabbed my hand, pulling me toward a side exit. "We need to go." We ran through corridors filled with ancient machinery, federal agents and criminals both hunting us. Luna moved with purpose, clearly having scouted escape routes. "This way," she led me up a rusted staircase. "Where are we going?" "Roof access." I called Sarah, not Kane. "Meaning?" "Kane thinks I'm dirty, but my handler knows better. She's running interference while we escape." We burst onto the roof as helicopters appeared overhead, spotlights cutting through darkness. Below, the tactical operation was securing Mendoza and his men. "Agent Washington," a voice called through a megaphone. "You're under arrest." Kane stood on an adjacent building, tactical team flanking him. Even in the dim light, I could see his betrayed fury. "I trusted you," he shouted. "And I saved your operation," Luna called back. "By disappearing with classified intel? By staying alive long enough to bring you Mendoza." The standoff stretched until Agent Sarah Murphy appeared beside Kane, clearly outranking him. She spoke into her radio, and the tactical team lowered their weapons. "Agent Washington," Sarah's voice came through the speaker. "Your extraction is approved." Kane's protests were visible even from distance, but Sarah's authority held. A helicopter descended toward our roof position. "You knew this would happen," I said, as rotor wash whipped around us. I hoped Sarah still trusted me. And if she hadn't? Luna turned, her face serious in the helicopter's lights. "Then we would have run." "Where?" "Anywhere you wanted to go." The simple answer carried enormous weight. Luna had been prepared to abandon everything again, this time for me. "What happens now?" I asked as agents helped us into the helicopter. "Debriefing. Paperwork. Probably a hearing about my disappearance." "And us?" Luna's hand found mine as the helicopter lifted away from the chaos below. "Unknown. We're entering uncharted territory." I like uncharted territory. Even if it means dating someone who used to be a federal agent. Especially then. Luna leaned closer, her lips brushing my ear. "I'm done with undercover work. No more lies, no more fake identities. What will you do? Maybe work in a chemistry lab, if they'll have someone whose credentials are still questionable?" I smiled, squeezing her hand as Glendale spread out below us. "I know a place that values talent over paperwork." "Is that right?" "The boss is very understanding about unusual circumstances." Luna laughed, the sound carrying relief and hope in equal measure. "Think she'd hire someone with my particular skill set?" "Depends. Are you planning any more dramatic career changes?" "Just one more." "Which is?" Luna's eyes met mine with absolute certainty. "Becoming the kind of partner you deserve, in every sense of the word." The kiss that followed tasted like freedom. 3 months of debriefings and legal hearings finally ended with Luna's federal record cleared. Agent Sarah Murphy testified about Luna's critical role in dismantling Mendoza's operation, while Kane was reassigned to desk duty for compromising federal assets. "Coffee?" Luna offered, setting up our home lab equipment. "You know I can't work without it." We'd converted my garage into a private research space while waiting for Luna's security clearance to process. The Institute wanted her back officially this time, with proper credentials and a clean federal background check. "Sample batch looks perfect," I said, examining our latest cancer treatment compounds. "The protein binding efficiency is exceeding our projections." Luna peered over my shoulder, her proximity sending familiar warmth through my chest. "Ready for human trials?" "Getting close." Our breakthrough had come by combining Rodriguez's neural pathway research with legitimate pharmaceutical applications. Instead of creating addiction, we'd found ways to help cancer drugs cross the blood-brain barrier more effectively. "Dr. Harris," Luna said formally, then grinned. "I love saying that." "Why?" "Because now I can say it honestly." The Institute had fast-tracked Luna through an alternative credentialing program, recognizing her practical expertise and federal service. She'd earned her official research position through merit, not deception. My phone buzzed with a text from the elementary school. Maria got into the science magnet program. And more Maria? She wants to be a chemist, like her teachers. Luna's smile could have powered our equipment. We should visit her. Agreed. We'd return to volunteering as soon as the legal complications cleared. The kids welcomed us back with homemade cards and dozens of questions about our government mission. We'd kept explanations simple. They helped catch bad guys who hurt people. Ready for the presentation? Luna asked, assembling our research files. Tomorrow, we'd present our findings to the National Cancer Institute. If approved, our work could help thousands of patients access previously ineffective treatments. Nervous, I admitted. About the science? About everything else. Luna understood my concern. Our relationship had started with lies, survived federal investigations, and now faced the scrutiny of normal life. Could what we'd built under extreme circumstances survive ordinary days? Come here, Luna said softly. I moved into her arms, breathing in her familiar scent. 3 months together, and she still made my pulse quicken. What are you thinking? She asked. That I don't know how to do this. Do what? Be with someone whose life was so different from mine. Luna pulled back to meet my eyes. Want to know a secret? Always. I've never had a normal relationship either. Undercover work doesn't exactly encourage emotional honesty. So, we're both figuring it out? Together. Luna's lips found mine, soft and sure. After everything we'd survived, kissing her still felt like discovery, like finding unexpected reactions in familiar compounds. I have something for you, Luna said when we broke apart. What? She pulled a small box from her lab coat pocket. Not what you think. Inside was a chemical structure pendant, intricate silver depicting the molecular arrangement of our cancer breakthrough. Luna, it represents us. Separate elements that created something new when combined. My throat tightened with emotion. It's perfect. As Luna fastened the chain around my neck, her fingers brushed my skin with gentle precision. Penelope? Yes? When this is over, when our research is published and recognized, what do you want? What do you mean? For us, for our future. I considered the question seriously. 6 months ago, my future had been predictable research, publications, academic conferences. Now it included a woman who'd reshaped every equation in my life. I want to keep changing the world with you. One molecule at a time. Even if it's complicated, especially then. The best discoveries happen when you combine unexpected elements. Luna kissed me again, deeper this time, her hands threading through my hair. When we separated, both breathing harder, she rested her forehead against mine. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. Even after everything? Because of everything. You showed me that some risks are worth taking. Like what? Like trusting someone whose credentials don't match their capabilities. Like believing in chemistry that exists outside textbooks. Luna's smile was radiant. Think our formula will work? Our cancer research? Our relationship formula. I pretended to consider it seriously. Well, we've tested it under extreme conditions, verified stability across multiple scenarios, and confirmed reproducible results. And? I think it's ready for long-term trials. How long-term? As long as we can manage. Luna laughed, the sound I'd grown to love above all others. Forever sounds like a good starting point. Agreed. Our next kiss tasted like promises and possibility, surrounded by the equipment that had brought us together, and the future we were building molecule by molecule. 6 months later, our research had exceeded every expectation. The National Cancer Institute approved our protocol, and pharmaceutical companies were bidding for licensing rights. What started as desperate improvisation had become legitimate science that could save lives. Dr. Washington, I said, reading the official letter. The Institute wants to promote you to senior research scientist. Dr. Washington, Luna repeated, grinning. I still get excited hearing that. You earned it honestly this time. This time was the only time that mattered. We stood in our new expanded laboratory, watching technicians set up equipment for the next phase of trials. Luna had insisted on maintaining our volunteer teaching schedule despite increased responsibilities. The kids are planning something for tomorrow's visit, Luna mentioned. Good something or concerning something? With elementary students, is there a difference? Our relationship had settled into comfortable rhythms work, teaching, quiet evenings experimenting with new compounds. Luna's past occasionally surfaced in background checks or security briefings, but Agent Murphy had ensured her federal record reflected heroism rather than suspicion. "I have news," Luna announced over dinner. "Good news or dramatic news. Depends on your perspective." I set down my fork, studying her expression. "Tell me." "Agent Murphy offered me a consulting position, part-time advisory role for undercover operations involving chemistry." My stomach tightened. "Would you take it?" "That depends." "On what?" Luna reached across our small kitchen table, covering my hand with hers. "On whether my partner thinks it's a good idea." "Your research partner or your life partner?" "Both." The distinction mattered. We'd never officially defined our relationship beyond professional collaboration and personal commitment. But 6 months of shared everything had created its own clarity. "Honestly? Always. I think you'd be incredible at it, but I also think I'd worry constantly. About the danger? About you disappearing again." Luna's expression softened. "I'm never disappearing again. Ever." "Promise?" "Better than a promise." Luna stood, moving to the kitchen counter where she'd left her bag. When she returned, she held a small velvet box that made my heart stop. "Luna, before you panic, this isn't what you think." "What is it then?" "It's exactly what you think, but with a twist." She opened the box, revealing 2 rings, molecular structures etched in platinum. Our cancer breakthrough compound on one ring, its complementary binding protein on the other. "They're designed to fit together," Luna explained. 2 separate structures that create something stronger when combined. My eyes filled with tears. "Are you asking you to be my permanent research partner?" "Yes." "Asking you to marry me?" "Also yes." "Luna Washington, are you proposing with chemistry jewelry?" "I'm proposing with the truth about us. We're better together than apart. We create things neither of us could make alone." I looked at the rings, understanding their elegant symbolism. "Which one is mine?" "Whichever one you want." "That's the point. We complement each other, but we're not incomplete separately." "God, I love your brain." "Is that a yes?" Instead of answering immediately, I kissed her with everything I felt. Luna's arms wrapped around me, pulling me close as our lips moved together with familiar passion. "Yes," I whispered against her mouth. "Obviously yes." Luna slipped the binding protein ring onto my finger while I placed the compound ring on hers. The molecular structures aligned perfectly when we held hands, creating a complete chemical equation. "Mrs. Washington Harris?" Luna suggested. "Dr. Washington Harris has a better ring to it." "Agreed." We kissed again, surrounded by the quiet hum of our laboratory and the promise of research yet to be discovered. Outside, Glendale stretched into evening, filled with students we'd inspired and patients our work might eventually heal. "What now?" I asked. "Now we change the world, together. Starting tomorrow? Starting right now." Luna's lips found mine again as our joined hands caught the laboratory lights, molecular rings, sparkling like the future we were building one element at a time. Some reactions took years to perfect, but the best ones created bonds that lasted forever. Our chemistry had always been perfect. Now it was also permanent.